Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you today. We got a brisk morning here. It's probably got down in the 40s here in this part of Florida this time of year. That's pretty dadgum chilly. Now, I know some of y'all out there are dealing with harsher weather, but hey, come to the Gunshine State. Come to Florida. And just don't bring your politics that you're running from with you, and you'd be welcome. Got a great show for you today. We're going to start out with a story, our main topic of the day, promises made, promises kept. President Trump is going to bring at least some of the troops home, hopefully by Christmas, from Afghanistan and Iraq. And of course, it is causing all kinds of hullabaloo. Can I say that? I guess that's a word. Because one thing the Democrats and the Republicans can seem to really get lockstep behind, and that is endless wars and support, as President Eisenhower warned us, and we're going to talk specifically about that in just a moment, the military-industrial complex, and it is glowing red hot right now. You can see it. But before we go any further, let's talk a little bit about our sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited, otherwise known as BDU. We come to you live every day, Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, or as close as we can get to it, I should say, from Big Daddy Unlimited Studios in Gainesville, Florida. They sponsor the show to help us get this show even further out. Go above the video no matter when or where you're watching it, because we're on in the mornings like America's Voice News. Good morning. Howdy. How are you guys? Citizens for Trump. Howdy. But we're also rebroadcast as a late night show across the streaming service of America's Voice News. When we're on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, you can download free apps on your Android or your iPhone right now. And by the way, America's Voice News is a great alternative to the mainstream media. Check it out. But we're also on channel 219 Dish Network and the Pluto streaming channel, and it's growing every day. But Big Daddy Unlimited, no matter where you're watching our video, even on our YouTube channel, spell it all the way out, John Martin Talks, look above the video. You'll see a description of our show. Look in that description and you will see our sponsorship link to Big Daddy Unlimited, which is all things Second Amendment. Factory direct pricing on guns, ammunition, tactical gear, swag, you name it. Thousands of items delivered directly to your door. And boy, after what we have seen over this past weekend, I was watching more footage from the Trump rally or demonstration in D.C. The Stop the Steal, I guess is what they're calling it. And my son says he wants to organize one of those here locally, so we'll see what happens on that. But Stop the Steal rally, I suppose, is what the name of it was. Now we're seeing the violence that is coming out of that. Especially, well, you know what really gets me? I mean, obviously the violence is just atrocious. But the lack of coverage or selective coverage of what is actually happening on the ground just infuriates me. I wasn't really going to get too deep into it, but I am now. I'm feeling a rant coming on right off the bat. You won't find the coverage, of the Trump rally, basically. I've now seen it. I was out of town over the weekend, so I had some catching up to do. I was offshore, away from TV, and that's a blessing sometimes as well. And I saw how big it was. I saw the president's motorcade go through, but it's hard to actually follow. Like, if you search out CNN's coverage, for instance, you don't get any. And then when you turn around and look at the violence, they act like it didn't happen. Can you imagine if Trump supporters actually got violent, what the news would be like? It's just unbelievable, man. And something's got to be done about it. Because it's only going to get worse. If President Trump is fortunate enough to get through all this minefield of bureaucracy and fraud and everything else, and actually become the next president of the United States, which by God, I am 100% for. If anybody can do it, Donald Trump can do it, and he's exposing the rot that is in our electoral system as we speak. And so I appreciate that no matter what. But Donald Trump, even if he gets reelected, we're going to have to deal with this. And certainly if he doesn't get reelected, well, we know what's happening. We know the election's being stolen from us. There's no question about that. And 2 million people are going to feel like that they are not representative and that Joe Biden is an illegitimate president. God help us if that happens. So we're going to be protesting. We're going to be out on the street. We're not going to be burning down a Best Buy or something like that. We might raid a Bass Pro if we feel, itchy or whatever. But we're not going to be doing a lot of destruction. But we're going to be heard from. Trust me on this. Donald Trump aside, I am determined, and I know millions of you out there feel the same way as me. Now, when I say Donald Trump aside, I'm not putting him aside. I'm simply saying that this movement is going to continue. I'm alerting the snowflakes out there, Antifa and Black Lives Matter, that we ain't going nowhere. As I've been telling y'all, if you're new to the show, you might not have heard this, but of course, if I say it, it bears repeating. First of all, glad you're here. You're in the right place now. The truth, as one of my buddies says, starts right now. I'm out the pot, ladies and gentlemen. I am out the pot. And if you're saying, what are you talking about? Well, I'm talking about that pot where they put the frog in it, and they say if you turn it up slow, he lets him boil. He'll boil his way to death. But if you turn up the heat real fast, he'll realize he's boiling and jumping out. Well, Donald Trump has exposed that we've been in the pot for a while and it's been boiling. I've jumped clean out that pot, and no matter what happens, this is my promise to you, I'm not getting back in. I'm not getting back in. So my voice, whether I have blessed to have this microphone, thank you, Lord, and thank you, my sponsors, and thank you, my listeners, for allowing me this time every day. I appreciate it. But no matter what, I'm not getting back in that pot, and I hope you don't as well. So I say that to say this very clearly to all those people beating up on Trump support. And think about this. They're actually attacking old folks, women, and children. We've literally seen video now of them shoving little kids around. I mean, it makes me want to just, what does old Willie Nelson's song say? Find that highest oak tree and hang them high, basically. That's what it makes me want to do. And I'm not a vigilante justice guy, but it's coming to it. It's coming. There's going to be a reckoning, as they say, if we keep going down this road, because a lot of us aren't going to sit there and be pushed around or watch innocent people being pushed around. I just don't see myself doing that. And I'm kind of this way. I'm a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. I just want to live. I think a lot of people that support Donald Trump are like this. We just want to live our lives, hunt, fish if we're out in the country. We want to enjoy our family, our kids. We want to go out to a restaurant. We actually want to have Thanksgiving. Oh my God, I'm going to do a whole show about Thanksgiving probably. And I wanted to say this, and I'm going to get into the story in a minute, but please bear with me. I got to get some of this off my chest. You look at what's happening in our country with Thanksgiving. I mean, in California now, they're literally saying that you are not supposed to go visit your family. You can only have the amount of people in your home. They're recommending that 5 to 10 people. I guess it doesn't matter what the square footage of your home. You have to have be able to certify. This is not a joke now. Out in California, Governor Newsom has made this decree. You need to be able to certify that your bathroom has been cleaned on some kind of regular basis. You have to eat outside. There's no singing. I don't know if we do a lot of singing, chanting, and no loud talking. Well, that probably cuts me out right there. All of this on Thanksgiving out of fear of the pandemic. Now, let me ask you this. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Who was more in danger of dying? Because I guess that's what we are. We're living, we used to be the home of the brave, land of the free, home of the brave. Now we're like cowering in the corner. I'm not speaking of everyone, but that's what the government seems to be pushing us to, especially Democratic controlled government. Joe Biden has already come out and said, God's sakes, wear a mask. Do your family the right thing and wear a mask. And, who's not wearing masks, by the way? Everywhere I look, people are wearing masks even when they don't have to. I mean, it's just crazy. But think about this. Is what I've been thinking about. Who who was more likely to die as a result or on Thanksgiving Day? Now, us in California and sea to shining sea, are we more likely to succumb? Or was it the pilgrims themselves, the original people? I mean, give me a break, man. Life was pretty harsh back then. Our country was founded by some really sturdy people. And now we're being told to shut. We can't, all the things that were fought and died for, right to free and assembly, squashed. Right to go to church, being squelched. Right to celebrate in your own home, curtailed. It's just unbelievable what we're afraid of, what we're allowing to happen. And at some point, ladies and gentlemen, and I've been saying this for a while, at some point we got to find, and I don't mean to put the presidential election aside by any means. I'm waiting for more stuff. Sidney Powell has come out and said there's going to be a lot coming our way. So I'm very hopeful that we will see a change. But what we need to do, regardless of who's president, we need to take a look at ourselves as a nation and ask ourselves, what kind of country do we really want to be? Do we want to be ignorant and free? Because Thomas Jefferson told us that will never be. We want what never was and never will be. Do we think that freedom is now free, that we don't have to pay a price for it? Because let me tell you, freedom has never been free. And it's never been safe to leave the cave. This is something I've been telling y'all for a year now. This idea that there was a time when it was safe to go outside, and the experts have cleared us to go outside, has never been that case. It's never been safe to leave the cave. It's probably safer now than it's ever been, but it's still not safe to leave the cave. It never has been. And if you wait for the experts to tell you to get on with it, like President Trump basically told us, don't fear the corona in the sense of live your life. He has the courage to say those kind of things, and he's knocked in the head, so to speak, for it. But if you're waiting for the Dr. Fauci's of the world, and God help us, Pinocchio Joe Biden with his lion mask, that meme I put up occasionally with his nose growing, if you're waiting for them to give you the all clear signal to go out and be the land of the free and the home of the brave, let me tell you, it ain't going to happen. It's going to be up to us, the American people. And here's a secret for you. It always has been. It's always been up to us, the American people. We made this country. We were the ones that fought and died and was at Valley Forge with our feet freezing and everything else. We're the ones that faced the real Nazis, not the wannabes. We're the ones that we're the true anti-fascists, not the masked ones coming out of their mama's basement. We were the ones that faced that. I'm talking, collectively here, American people. It's always been up to us to keep this nation free. No less of a challenge now than it ever has been. There's no question about that, in my view. There's no question about the fact that we, the people, are responsible for creating that more perfect union. The only question is not who's responsible. The only question is if we gonna man up. I guess that's not politically correct to say. Are we gonna rise up? Are we gonna man the political ramparts so we don't have to man the real ones again? That's the only question really out there, is what are we collectively as a human beings gonna do? And I believe there is a reckoning coming. And I believe that if they keep pushing, they say, there's nothing to see here. Donald Trump doesn't have any evidence and all that kind of stuff. When you know good and dadgum well that this election was stolen from Donald Trump. There isn't an American that don't really believe that in their heart of hearts. Let me ask you this. If we didn't have the cheat by mail thing, who'd be elect right now? And we don't even have a president-elect. I get tired of hearing that as well. But who would be? It would be Donald Trump. There's no question about that. Matter of fact, if you look at the overall results, the Democrats didn't do very well across the nation. And so anyway, I'm sorry I just get on this rant, but I got to say it again, who had more to fear than, it went so long on that I had to reboot my show notes, but who had more to fear coming out of Thanksgiving? Us right now in 2020? or the original Pilgrims? I think you know the answer to that. All right, let's get on with this, man. Sorry about that, but I just had to get some of that off my chest. And I'm privileged to do that every day. Right here with you. Okay, this is a Washington Post story. Trump administration to cut troop levels in Afghanistan and Iraq in a sprint to deliver on the president's promise. And, Trump has the soldiers back. There's no question. I don't know that there's been a president that has supported the troops. Now, that doesn't mean he supports the Pentagon all the time. And that's what we're going to get into here, because this idea, when Donald Trump talks about bringing the troops home, it's amazing how the press goes into a frenzy. He don't care about the troops. He don't care about the troops. He cares about the troops. He just doesn't care about the brass that much. But Trump, let me get on with this. The Trump administration is planning to move ahead with significant reduction of U.S. forces in Afghanistan before President Trump leaves office in January. He's also talking about bringing some home from Iraq as well, taking steps toward delivering on his long-delayed campaign promise to bring home troops from insurgent wars. Promises made, promises kept. That's what Donald Trump has been about. Now, has he been able to do everything he's promised? No. He will in a second term when he gets one. That's for sure. I don't have any doubt about that, because what we're going to see right now during this time is Trump being unleashed, I believe. Because I've been telling you all along, I couldn't wait for the election because I wanted to see Trump not only be unhinged as able, but Trump unleashed. See, Donald Trump doesn't have to run for re-election now, does he? Win, lose, or draw, he's the president at least for the next 2 months, and I think he's got his chances are actually increasing that he will prevail in this thing. There is a lot of smoke out there, and I believe some fire is coming. But no matter what, Donald Trump don't have to run for re-election right now. So he can be Trump unleashed, and that's what I'm hoping to see over the next 2 months and the next 4 years. According to officials familiar with discussions, the White House is preparing to announce as soon as this week plans to roughly halve the number of U.S. troops from around 5,000 to 2,500. I don't know why they don't bring them all home. By the time President-elect, that's as the article saying it, not me, Biden assumes office on January 20th. You know one reason why they keep insisting on calling a Joe Biden president-elect, in my opinion, but it's an opinionated fact nonetheless, is because they're setting it up to say that the election was stolen from them if he actually gets overtaken in this thing by Donald Trump. If anybody can do it, DJT is the man to do it. But that's why they keep calling him president-elect, because they're trying to set up a scenario that Trump is stealing the election, the Supreme Court is stealing the election. But let me ask you this. How much, if God help us, Joe Biden becomes president, how much will Joe sell them back for? You say, what are you talking about? I'm talking about, if Donald Trump doesn't remove all the troops and he only cuts them in half, it won't take much because we know that Joe Biden has got his hand out all the time, right? He's for sale. There's no question about that. And now the the Biden family, they might have something to sell. I guarantee you right now, I don't know if it's Hunter or Joe's brother, but somewhere in the Biden crime syndicate, and that's really what it is, they're already taking advantage of this. Now, we're not looking at it because we're so worried about the election, but I guarantee you that Biden and his henchmen are already getting paid. They're finding out. Now, I don't have no evidence, without my evidence is what you guys have been hiding in the mainstream media, what they've been doing all along. What does that investment thing say? That past results don't guarantee future results. In this case, I think they do, because I'd be willing to bet my own money that the Biden bunch is already getting paid. Just to take advantage and make sure they cash in case he don't make it all the way, because once he's done, they got nothing to sell. Right now, they got opportunity, man. Opportunity is knocking. But how much would Joe sell them out? Because man, this guy has never, that's why him and like John McCain were such good buddies. They never met a war they didn't want to fight in. They didn't want to put Americans in harm's way. The administration is also expected to announce a more modest troop reduction in Iraq, bringing the military forces there from about 3,000 to 2,500 I say bring them home as well. Another step that would advance the goal Trump has espoused since before he was elected to wind down wars launched in the wake of September 11th attacks and refocus resources at home. Now, Donald Trump, man, let me tell you, this guy has some courage. And we're going to get into this military industrial complex thing now. And I'm going to, if I have time, I'm going to actually play you a snippet from Eisenhower that I've played before, but you can never hear it too much. But I'm going to play you two videos back to back here. One was back, I believe, in May of 2019 when he spoke about the military industrial complex. Because presidents don't speak about that. I don't even remember Ronald Reagan really speaking about that. And of course, the Bushes and all, the Clintons and all, I mean, they're all right in the middle of all that establishment figure. But let's hear Donald Trump in an interview bring up the military industrial complex. Check it out.
In Iran and
well, I'm the one that talks about these wars that are 19 years and people are just there. And don't kid yourself, you do have a military industrial complex. They do like war. You know, in Syria with the caliphate. So I wipe out 100% of the caliphate. That doesn't mean you're not going to have these crazy people going around blowing up stores and blowing up things. These are seriously ill people. I don't want to say, oh, they're wiped out, you know, ISIS. But I wiped out 100% of the caliphate. I say, I want to bring our troops back home. The place went crazy. They want to keep, you have people here in Washington. They never want to leave. I say, you know what I'll do? I'll leave a couple of hundred soldiers behind. But if it was up to them, they'd bring thousands of soldiers in. Someday people will explain it.
Well, this is an example.
You do have a group, and they call it the military industrial complex. They never want to leave. They always want to fight. No, I don't want to fight. But
that's good enough. And Trump, when he says he doesn't want to fight, oh, he wants to fight. He's fighting everywhere, fighting for his presidential life right now, and we couldn't have a better fighter. What he's talking about there is he don't want to send your children over there to fight in these endless wars, man. And so that was like a year and a half ago. Now, he's done it a couple times since, but I'm going to play you a clip from a rally in North Carolina just basically about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And listen to this. It's not just about the military-industrial complex, but he also talks about Joe Biden, sleepy Joe Biden a little bit. And I think we need to hear the president's words again and understand what is at stake in this election, this ongoing election. Check it out.
Biden's plan will destroy 5 million jobs, eliminate $2.6 trillion in wealth, and hurt lower and middle income families the most of all. I will deliver optimism, opportunity, and hope. Biden will deliver pessimism, poverty, and decline. For the last 47 years, Joe Biden has been outsourcing your job, opening your borders. Oh, by the way, our border is closed. That's why you never hear about it. You ever notice you don't hear about that? You don't hear about our vets anymore because we take such good. Remember, every night you'd hear about vets. Before me, 91% approval rating with our vets. Our vets voted 91%. We never had anything like it. And sacrificing American blood and treasure in endless foreign wars in countries that you've never even heard of. And they're all coming back. You know that, right? I mean, I hope nobody objects. I think 19 years in Afghanistan is enough, wouldn't you say? We're like a police force over there. We have the greatest soldiers in the world, but over there, we're like a police force. 19 years is enough. You think it's easy getting out with all the military-industrial complex, right? Dwight Eisenhower, beware the military-industrial complex. They're right, but we're all coming home. They're all coming home.
That's good enough. Thank you, Mr. President. I tell you what, man, one thing about it, and I'm not being negative, I'm being positive here. We're going to miss that guy no matter when that time comes. Because one day Donald Trump will not be president. He's still your president right now, snowflakes, and you're melting. I love that part. And I think his chances are actually growing. I've been thinking they were diminishing. I'm starting to feel like they're actually growing. I got hope. Sidney Powell's giving me a lot of hope. Man, she's an impressive person. We got to get this before the Supreme Court. We got to get this election thing sorted out no matter what, for the good of the nation, really. But Donald Trump is going to be missed no matter when his time ends. Even if he gets 4 more years, it ain't going to be enough to drain this swamp. But man, is that guy actually willing to look at you in the eye and speak the truth? Because right now, man, let me just tell you this, because the GOP is being a bit wishy-washy, which is no surprise to me. And we're going to hear some more evidence of it in a minute. But I'm telling you right now, and I'm painting a broad brush. There's probably friends of mine that I'm throwing under the bus right now. But the GOP, to me, right now, is only supporting, and I know there are some exceptions, some notable exceptions to this, but they're only supporting the president now in a vocal way because they're worried about those 2 Senate seats, which is justifiable worry. I want us to take the Senate back or hold on to it with those 2 Georgia runoff seats, which is, we need to be focused on that. I'm trying to get focused on it as well. I'm mostly focused on the president, but they're backing the president to control the Senate, which I'm for. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you can already hear the rumbling, the gurgling, that sound in the background that you hear. You know what that sound is? It's the sound of the swamp already filling up. And the crocodiles and the alligators and the turtles and the snakes and the rats all waiting for the swamp to fill up. They can hear it bubbling a little bit on the outside. Joe Biden, God help us, leading the way back to filling in the swamp. You know, he like that character from Christmas Vacation where he's out there going, you know, something full. I ain't gonna say the word. He's filling it up, emptying out his Winnebago. With a Malarkey Tour bus is out there emptying it out, you know, and all that. The swamp, and I think I got pictures of it, the swamp is filling up. And the rats, there it is. There's that swamp. It's already filling up. And the rats are circling the wagons, so to speak, to jump right back in it. Not so fast, my friends. Donald Trump has a plan for that, and I'm with him. But don't make no mistake. The establishment bunch, the Mitch McConnells of the world, they don't give a tinker's hoot who president is. They just wait for their turn at the trough. You don't think behind the scenes as much, because we used to see this openly. Now it's like hidden behind the walls. But I bet you Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer are already horse trading. What do you think? I don't know. I don't trust any of them. The only one I really trust up there right now is Donald Trump. I'm just going to put it like it is. But the reductions may not, back to the story, may not bring an end to America's long-running wars as militant groups continue to evolve and fracture. The proposed cuts also have an uncertain meaning less than 70 days before, and this is my words, God help us, Biden takes office and launches a process to scrutinize his predecessor's decision. Let me ask you this. Do you think if we, God help us, I have to keep saying that, Joe Biden, there is a President Joe Biden, that he'll ever even utter the words military-industrial complex? I doubt he even says those words. And believe me, he knows there's a few things he does know, but he knows about that because he's been in their pocket as well. Military, I don't know that he'll ever mention it. The discussions came as the president continues to falsely assert victory in the November 3rd election. The election has not been certified. Trump, who fired his defense secretary and elevated loyalists at the Pentagon last week, has also blocked agencies from working with Biden's transition team. That's because he's not declared the president. You don't have to have a transition team. And boy, what transition team did Joe Biden and his group give to President-elect, truly President-elect Trump? We're starting to realize now that those rats were chewing at him from the very beginning, man. The Democrats have never given Trump a victory. They've never ever accepted him as president. They won't give him any victories in Congress, anything, nothing. They won't do anything. They will put you in harm's way. If you're out of work right now, don't blame Donald Trump, blame Congress, the House, the Democrats. They won't give him a victory no matter what. And like Mitch McConnell, remember when Mitch McConnell said, and he got blasted for it, that we're going to try to make Obama a one-term president. And he was just, oh my God. He didn't say that Obama wasn't president. He didn't say impeach Obama. He said we're going to try to make him a one-term president. There's nothing wrong with that. Every party tries to make the other party one term, right? I mean, that's the way politics is. Love it, hate it, whatever. But what about with Trump? With President Trump, they didn't even want to let him have one term, let alone make him a one-term president. They tried to steal his original term from him. And now they're taking his chances, trying to, away from being the legitimate elected president of the United States. So I don't want to hear it. I've been saying this, and I'm going to keep saying it. I promise you, talk about unity. Oh, we got to unify. Behind what? Because if it's not the Constitution that we're unifying behind, count me out. I'm not going to unify behind people who, talk about life. Have you thought about this? And I should have played this video. You've seen many of them like this. My body, my choice. My body, my choice. Yeah. But now that same crowd is basically saying, you don't have a choice. Put on a mask for God's sakes and get in the bubble with the rest of us. I mean, it's unbelievable, man. What are we unifying behind? Because like I say, I got to keep saying it. If it's not the Constitution, then we got nothing to talk about. How do you unify behind stuff that has nothing to do with the Constitution? How do you unify behind people who say they care about people and then bash old people in the head and kick them while they're down, like we saw in Washington, D.C., that literally attack mothers with their children in this country? How do I unify behind that? I don't hear a lot of condemnation coming from Biden. They talking about all kind of speeches because, of course, Miss Kamala Harris said this was going to go on even after the election, no matter what. Win, lose, or draw. The violence in the streets, she supported. Oh, this is just part of the way things are now. God help us if that's the way it is. Are we going to stand for that? I don't know, man. I'm getting old. It's harder. I got a little bit fight left in this old gator, this old salty dog. I might not be. One thing about it, I'm going to have to stand my ground because I can't run. I think about that. You may force me to stand and fight because I can't retreat. Not very fast, anyway. Days before being dismissed, Pentagon Chief Mark T. Esper sent Trump a classified memo. If it's classified, how come they know about it, right? Classified memo that cautioned that conditions were not adequate to make additional troop cuts in Afghanistan. Ain't no way to bring them home, right? Citing the possibility of undermining peace talks. Yeah, okay. And a variety of other factors, his assessment was based on input from senior military leaders. Senior military leaders. Let me ask you this. When do you think senior military leaders, and I'm not necessarily knocking great generals. We've had a lot of them. I'm sure they're good people. Come up through the ranks. Some of them did. And this is not, and when I talk about the Pentagon, I'm not talking about the troops. I'm talking about the deepest part of the swamp. If you don't believe that's the deepest part of the swamp, then you ain't been paying attention. But let me ask you this. Because they're saying that the senior military leaders are not saying the time is not right to pull out of Afghanistan and Iraq. When do you think they would say the right time is? Oh, they're going to check their watch or whatever, smart watch. Like, oh, well, now is the right time to get out of Afghanistan, man. Let me just tell you right now. If it ends in stand, if you're in a country, you don't mind when's the right time to get out? If you are in a country, and I challenge you to tell me where I'm wrong, and you wake up one day and you realize that you're in a country that ends in the word stand, you know what you better do? Run! Get the heck out of there, man. There is no country in the world that ends in the word stand that you want to be in. Never has been, I don't think. I don't know. You name it stand, get the heck out, man. I don't know. But when would the senior military leaders tell you, that time to go home? Never. I can tell you that. The experts, just like the people that tell you, like Dr. Fauci now saying we may have to wear a mask forever. A significant withdrawal would inject an element of unpredictability into ongoing peace negotiations between Afghan government and Taliban negotiators. Let me just ask you this, ladies and gentlemen, especially if you have your loved ones in the military. Is there anything happening or bound to happen in Afghanistan or Iraq that you think is worth one drop of a patriot's blood? I mean, chime in on Facebook and tell me. I'm not saying. Now, the only thing that is, defending yourself and your comrade next to you. That's always for sure. And there are things that are worth dying for. Freedom is definitely it. But you got to want freedom. I'm not talking about everybody, but the leaders over in Pakistan, they just want power. I don't know about freedom. And the same thing seems to be happening here, absent Donald Trump. He's the only one I have ever really heard, other than Eisenhower, take on the military-industrial complex. That takes a lot of courage, ladies and gentlemen. But what is worth one American life right now? I don't see it. I just don't. And here's another thing. And I haven't said this in a while, but of course, if I say it, it bears repeating. Let me take a sip here real quick. Because I hear this term sometime about soldiers dying in vain. I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe any American soldier ever dies in vain. Now, understand this. Their leaders often put them in hopeless, worthless situations that they shouldn't be in. But soldiers don't die in vain because they're dying following orders of their commander-in-chief, their generals, whatever. Most of the time, they're dying defending themselves and their buddy next to them. So it's impossible, in my opinion, for a soldier to die in vain. We put them in harm's way quite frequently in terrible situations where we shouldn't be in. And I still would like to hear where, I'm not saying that the Afghan people don't deserve to be free, but if they're not willing to fight for it themselves, then it never will be. When was the last time that Afghanistan was someplace you would put on your bucket list to go? The planned move in Iraq would make a modest reduction to a force installed in 2014 after Islamic State forces took over most of the country. Since then, U.S. forces have helped train and support local troops as they battle extremists. In recent years, they have focused on seeking to prevent a militant comeback. Well, I can tell you from 2014 through to 2016, when Donald Trump came there, we didn't accomplish a whole lot in Iraq. Donald Trump came in and wiped them out. But here's the thing. Donald Trump's peace plans that he just has been in the middle of doing right now, and I hope don't come to an end no matter what happens. But Donald Trump's peace plan is actually to isolate Iran. Iran is the issue in the Middle East, for God's sakes. Iran, which President-elect, God, no, he's not. But God help us if Biden actually becomes president. He has already stated that maybe on day one he gets back into, or he's going to try to get back into the Iraq deal so they can go ahead and build that nuclear bomb, I guess. That should make Israel real happy, right? Donald Trump's peace plans were specifically designed to isolate Iran, because Iran is the problem in the Middle East. I'm not saying that there aren't some other bad players over there, but you take Iran out of the picture, and I'm not talking about bombing Iran. I'm talking about isolating them, which is what Donald Trump was doing. Then the Middle East changes completely. And that is what he was doing. But Biden's already talking about scrapping all that. It's just crazy, man. Reports about an imminent announcement prompted warnings from senior Republicans on Capitol Hill. An impassioned speech Monday by Senate Majority Leader, old Turtlehead himself, Mitch McConnell, implored the president not to end U.S. military operations in Afghanistan, saying it would be an embarrassment reminiscent of the humiliating American departure from Saigon, which is Vietnam, for those of you snowflakes don't know about it, in 1975. So Mitch McConnell, this great Republican, is up there bashing President Trump in public when he needs support more than ever, saying that pulling 2,500 troops out of Afghanistan, and the like number, so to speak, I think it was only 500 out of Iraq, is akin to us bailing out of Vietnam. Really? Mitch McConnell, really? The only time you can believe something like that is if you have no clue about history whatsoever. Now, we should have never been in Vietnam to start with. We never should. And if we wanted to be in Vietnam, and here's my deal with the military, it's pretty simple to me. The military should be about killing folks. And other people say, oh my God, we don't need to be peacemakers or policemen of the world. We need to be trained professional soldiers and just killers, man. I'm just telling you it like it is. Because I don't think, and I say that not because I want us to do a lot of killing, but I don't want our troops sent into any way but to win all-out war. If you're going to go into Vietnam, you go in to win. And I know I got a lot of Vietnamese listeners now, and I appreciate that. I hear from you all the time. Thank you so much for supporting it. And I know that people that I've met from Vietnam are all freedom-loving people. And so I'm 100% supportive. And I'm not defending anything about the Vietnam War. I don't think we should have gone in there. But what I'm saying is, if we send our men and women into harm's way, it should be for keeps. For keeps. You don't send them in if you're not willing to wipe out. Because our military is pretty good at that. And that, to me, anything less than that, I question whether we should even be there. Now, I'm not saying there's not some role of the military, like in, tsunami relief, those kind of things, helping countries and that type of stuff. Absolutely. Logistics, those kind of things. But putting people, armed soldiers out there, and then putting one hand behind their back, and that's what we've been doing ever since Vietnam, and I'm not for it. But Mitch McConnell, he is blasting. You know what he's really saying? He's saying, keep the rain coming, baby. Keep the cash coming, cash cow, because that's what they all want. That's what this is all about, keeping the money train going. That's what it's about, the military-industrial complex. McConnell, avoiding direct criticism of Trump, encouraged the president to preserve the limited but important role of those who remain, leaving the field in Afghanistan to Taliban and ISIS would be broadcast around the world as a symbol of U.S. defeat and humiliation. Really, U.S. defeat and humiliation. These people are sick, man. These people are absolutely sick. I want to close the show by playing the actual segment. Now, his overall end of watch, so to speak, speech by President Eisenhower was longer than this, but I'm just going to play the snippet that deals directly with the military-industrial complex. I want you to listen to what he's saying, Dwight Eisenhower, because what he is saying is exactly what is happening right now, and it also shows the courage of one Donald J. Trump to even broach the subject. Check it out.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. Our military organization today bears little relation to that known of any of my predecessors in peacetime, or indeed by the fighting men of World War II or Korea. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
That's good enough. I love that last part. And that's a message that needs to ring out across the land. It's one of the reasons why I do this show every day. When Mr. Eisenhower, President Eisenhower, General Eisenhower said, alert and knowledgeable citizens. Remember Thomas Jefferson basically said before, if you want to be ignorant and free, you want what never was and never be. We've got to be alert and knowledgeable citizens going forward, because our country depends on that. It cannot exist without us, without that. We must, and I'll end the show with this, we must man the political ramparts every day. Every day we got to be involved in this. We can't take anything for granted, because if we don't man the political ramparts, we're going to have to man the real ones again. And for Donald, and that would be a shame because we've already paid that price. And I hope you understand just how much courage it takes for President Donald Trump, yes, snowflakes, he's still your president, to actually call out the military-industrial complex. No one else would, no one else has since Dwight Eisenhower. Thank you, President Trump. I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to John Martin Talks Facebook page, like it, share it with others. Remember our sponsor, Big Daddy Unlimited. We need your support. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Let's all pray for this great nation and our president. They both deserve it. But above all else, like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.